What do you get when you cross the conductive properties of copper wire and the storage capabilities of batteries? Is it a short circuit? And that's dangerous stuff right there. It's wrong, of course. Or is it this? I introduce the supercapacitor coated wire. This technology combines current conduction with energy storage, in this case, more aptly as supercapacitors, to enable conducting wires not only to conduct electricity, but also to provide a temporary storage of energy. Researchers from the University of Central Florida, by the names of J.N. Thomas and his graduate student Zenon Yu, found out that when nanowires were ground out of ordinary copper wire, which were oxidized to form copper oxide in contact with air, and coated with a gold palladium alloy and manganese oxide before being coated with an electrolytic gel, after which the enclosure was separated by a porous polymer before finally being surrounded by a copper foil with nanowires also protruding from it. The resulting product becomes a supercapacitor, which stores energy as current flows through the wire. Nanowires with lengths of approximately 15 micrometers and with diameters of 100 nanometers were created by heating the copper, which upon contact with air oxidizes to form copper oxide, effectively insulating the copper wire core. A thin layer of gold palladium alloy, which is composed of 60% gold and 40% palladium, was then deposited into the material to serve as current collector and as an anode before coating it with manganese oxide. The whole thing was coated with an electrolytic gel and enclosed in a porous polymeric material. A copper foil with similarly protruding nanowires and coated with the same electrolytic gel rounded up the construction of the said device. The nanowires protruding from the foil served as a second electrode to complete the supercapacitor. The resulting brush-like structure of the nanowires provides a 100-fold increase in surface area. As a supercapacitor, this is important in increasing the surface charge density, which increases the overall capacitance of the device, which enables it to store more energy. As a matter of fact, they were able to obtain a specific capacitance of up to 1376 farads per gram, which is several magnitudes higher than other manganese oxide-based nanowires. Flexibility and bendability of the wires were also tested, since applications would also demand such wires to not only be good conductors, but also be strong, wear-resistant, well-insulated, and most importantly, to be flexible so that fractures and thereby losses in energy storage capabilities would be avoided upon bending. And as such, the researchers also subjected the wires to flexibility and bendability tests at angles between 0 and 180 degrees. They found that the device still retained 93.4% of its capacitance even after being bent to 180 degrees 100 times. And similarly, only minimal losses were observed at much smaller. As an energy storage device, the device was also subjected to a fatigue test by doing several charge-discharge cycles to test the amount of retained capacitance after several uses. What they found out is that even at 5,000 cycles, the device was still able to retain 99% of its original capacitance, an indication that the device really lasts for a considerable amount of charge-discharge cycles. In addition to what was mentioned earlier, by using two probes, the slopes of the IV curves before and after charging the supercapacitor section indicated no difference whatsoever, meaning the supercapacitor section doesn't interfere with the current carrying ability of the copper wire. As a supercapacitor charges, the current flow gets going unaffected. Isn't that marvelous? This technology opens up several pathways to developing storage facilities, especially for solar and wind-derived power. In contrast to lithium-ion batteries, which have the tendency to get destroyed easily, This technology can provide the means to storing energy as the wire conducts. And in cases where the output suddenly declines, as during cloudy skies for solar power or lack of wind for wind turbines, the stored power can easily be released to supplement the load. This could also open technologies about providing thread with supercapacitor effects, a patent of which will be shown later. The device, however, is limited to direct currents, as electric fields in an alternating current disrupts the usual flow of electrolytes with which the potential is stored. This can be mitigated, however, by the installation of inverters, converting AC to DC and vice versa, though this method could mean a loss of energy in the process. What can be done so far, however, is to test this technology with wires with scaled up proportions to mimic industry level applications, so that the technology can immediately be used to supplement the hydroelectric plants and the solar plants in the country.